Happy 4th of July! This is Jackie from Jack Gets Lost Down a Book Hole. One day I'm gonna be able to say that and not stumble. But, okay, today's video is an update on my Harry Potter reread. So, I have just finished Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets the night before. And I'm currently, in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Which I'm on chapter 8, Flight of the Fat Lady. I'll talk about that in a minute, but let's talk about Chamber of Secrets. So I like this book. At first I thought I didn't like it, but now thinking about it and rereading it, I feel like I kind of caved to the pressure of saying, everybody says it's not their favorite, so I must say it's not my favorite. Subconsciously, I didn't consciously think about that, but that might be why I thought it wasn't my favorite. And it's not my favorite. Generally isn't, but I liked it more than I thought I would. More than I thought I did. So this is basically a kind of mystery. When Harry gets to school, there is Filch's cat gets murdered, or gets petrified, and, so not murdered, petrified, like scared stiff, and there is writing on a wall that says, the Chamber of Secrets has been opened, enemies of the air, beware. Basically the heir of Slytherin, and so, and unfortunately everybody, after they find out in this book that Harry can speak Parseltongue, because we get a hint of it in the first book when Harry accidentally sets a python, I think, or a boa constrictor. No, boa constrictor. I think in the movie they call it a python, but I think in the book it says boa constrictor on Dudley. Of course, he thinks that's perfectly normal. He doesn't realize that Salazar Slytherin was a Parseltongue, and not everybody in the Wizarding world can speak Parseltongue. So everybody freaks out because Salazar Slytherin could speak Parseltongue, so everyone starts assuming that Harry can do that. So it's basically it's up to Harry to figure out, Harry and Ron and Hermione, they are determined to figure out who the heir of Slytherin is. And they actually do find, and of course naturally the suspect is Draco Malfoy, so they investigate Malfoy, but after much interrogation, one disguised as other Slytherins, which is the introduction of the Polyjuice Potion, which basically turns you into different people. And they find out that Draco Malfoy is not guilty, but they do learn that it happened 50 years ago. So Harry basically is trying to figure out, like I said, I felt this book was really good. It's not, again, I do admit it's not my favorite of the series, but I did enjoy it more than I thought I did. It is I always liked mysteries and solving things and slowly piecing together things and having this, and we are introduced to a lot of characters. We get a more of experience with the Weasleys. We meet Fred and George and Ron and Percy, in the first book. But we spend more time with those characters and we get to know them more, because Harry ends up, Ron and Fred and George rescue Harry from the Dursleys because he almost gets locked in the house, because Harry finds out that there is something going on at Hogwarts before he even gets there, because a house elf called Dobby shows up in his room, and then because Harry refuses to not go to Hogwarts, not go back to Hogwarts, Dobby, with the intention to protect Harry, makes him, uses a little bit of magic that house elves do have. Unfortunately, they can't use it regularly because they are often enslaved by wizards. And because Dobby disappears, it looks like Harry used magic, when he wasn't supposed to. And so the Dursleys lock him in his room because the magic is performed when people are visiting the Dursleys. But then Ron and his brothers rescue Harry. So we get to experience the Burrow where the Weasleys live, which is so cool. And who wouldn't love to spend time with the Weasleys and stay at the Burrow? You know, with all the magic and all the quirks and the warmness of it all, and it's just such a warm and comforting home. And you know, you gotta love the Weasleys. They're such a great family, and you do get to meet and you meet Arthur Weasley. You only met Molly Weasley in the first scene, when at the train station in the first book, and then twice you meet her twice. But we only get a little bit of time with her. In this book, we actually get to know her character more. And we also get more of Ginny, because she is of age now where she can go to Hogwarts. And she plays a very prominent role in the book, in this book. And I like her little crush on Harry, and I like how her crush becomes something more as the story progresses. She generally becomes friends with Harry, and they have this good relationship. They have their ups and downs, but then they end up falling in love for real, not just not just an infatuation, but actual love. Which I do not, and she is one of my favorite characters, and I don't understand why people hate her so much. But apparently they do. They do not like her character, and a woman whose videos I've been watching if you end up watching this video, I am so sorry because I do not remember her name at the moment. But she has been doing Harry Potter rereads as of the anniversary of Sorcerer's Stone, and she's been making these videos about the books and the movies, and we talked briefly. I commented to her video and about why people hate Ginny so much, and I was like, is it because of the movies, or did people always hate her even before there were movies? And she thinks it's because of the movies, because the movies did not do a good job portraying her and her relationship with Harry. But it's hard for me to really decide if I agree. I mean, I'm sure it's true, but it's been so long since I read the books. But I do believe her when she says that Ginny has more to do, is more developed in the books than the movies. Because they couldn't focus on her character and her relationship. I mean, it was part of the plot, but it wasn't a main plot point. So I feel like they neglected her character, and they didn't respect her character. I mean, like I said, it's been so long since I read the books to make these fair, so I can't really make a fair assessment. We also get a little background on Ron. We not only meet spend more time with his family and meet his parents, but we also learn he has a fear of spiders. Which I'm not afraid of them, but if you meet a spider as big as Aragog and all his family members, then yeah, you can't blame people for being scared. But yeah, and so we learn about that, and we also get some background we get a little slither of background on Lord Voldemort before he became Lord Voldemort, which was really cool. Of course, unfortunately, we don't really learn a whole lot. We only learn a slither of information, but we get a little bit more. We definitely get a little more information as the series progresses until like book 5 and 6. 4, we get a little bit more, I believe. We get a little bit more information, but it's not until like book 5 and 6 that we really get a lot of background info on Lord Voldemort before he became Lord Voldemort, and what led him down this path of darkness, why he became determined to be this powerful dark wizard. And of course, he has that whole mentality, there's no good and evil, there's only power, which it feels like a lot of villains have that kind of mentality, which of course, being a person who's trying to be as good as I can be, I have to disagree with that theory, but I mean, that's what makes them villains. One of the aspects that makes them villains. But I always like the mystery of this second book. and all the characters we meet, like, we get more time with the Weasleys, and we get to see Forks for the first time. We get to see Dumbledore's office. We get to spend more time with Dumbledore. And like I said, we get background info on some of the characters that already exist in the series, like Voldemort and Ron. And I like how in this adventure, it's Harry and Ron mostly. I mean, it's all three of them, but by the final adventure, it's Harry and Ron who go through the Chamber of Secrets. Harry still is the one that faces Voldemort, just like in the first book. But in the first book, all three of them go with Harry, but in the second book, it's Ron and Harry, because in the last half of the book, because Hermione unfortunately was petrified by the monster from the chamber. She gets affected, and so unfortunately it's just Harry and Ron who in there. And I like how Ron, we get the first glimmer of Ron's affection, the affection that develops between Hermione and Ron, because when they're interrogating Malfoy, just the two of them, and Malfoy's like, oh, I hope it's Granger who's the one that dies, because of course we find out that because the Slytherin's monster can potentially kill mudbloods. And you can see it really pisses off Ron that, I mean, granted, I think anyone who's friends with Hermione would be pissed off by that. But considering what happens between the two of them in the later books, it's like the first clue, I feel like. Or at least it shows their relationship growing into not just annoying the crap out of each other, but that they do start to care about each other, like they care about Harry. Let's see. What else did we get in this book? I feel like there's a lot of exposition in this book. And there's a lot of parts. There's of course parts in this book that I wish had been in, like the scene at the end of the story the scene between Ginny and her parents. I wish that scene had been in the movie, but I know they couldn't because it would probably take up too much time. One of the lines I think that's really funny is at the end of the book when Hermione is like, won't your aunt and uncle be proud, or your aunt and uncle will be proud though, won't they? Said Hermione as they got off the train and joined the crowd thronging toward the enchanted barrier. When they hear what you did this year? Proud? Said Harry. Are you crazy? All those things, all those times I could have died and I didn't manage it, they'll be furious. I love that part. That is hilarious. I mean, that just shows the relation. Another one of those lines that just shows the relationship between Harry and the Dursleys. Let's see. And then another line I like is, I must draft from, this is Dumbledore, I must draft an advertisement for the Daily Prophet too, he added thoughtfully. We'll be needing a new defense against the Dark Arts teacher. Dear me, we do seem to be run through them, don't we? I think that's hilarious because that's one of the funniest aspects of this book is Gilderoy Lockhart, who is a total arrogant idiot. He just loves himself so much, and unfortunately, he ends up by the climax of the book. Because he was stupid enough to pick up Ron's wand that is already broken, but he apparently does not realize that and use it against. And try to erase their memories because you find out he was taking credit for things that other wizards had done to make himself look good. And he tries to erase Harry and Ron's memories, but of course he uses Ron's wand and it backfires and erases his own memory, which is hilarious. Let's see, and of course we meet Dobby the house elf, which I think Dobby is adorable. I mean, I know he's kind of ugly, but he's adorable in his ugliness. I love Dobby. I know he's not, he's not as pretty as the Lord of the Rings elves, but he's adorable. And we also, get more house elf stuff in the fourth book too, which I think is really cool. But of course, they could not put that in the movie. It was really disappointing. We are introduced to the character of Moaning Myrtle in this book. I like Moaning Myrtle too. I think she's so funny in her depression and. Okay, I know depression, I mean, I shouldn't use the word depression because depression is not a funny thing. But just her, like, I mean, I don't blame her being, like, heartbroken and depressed because she's dead and people still make fun of her and stuff. But I just think it's, she's so dramatic. Over dramatic and stuff. And like I said, we find out about Harry being a parcel tongue. We are introduced to Cornelius Fudge in this book, the Minister of Magic, Arthur Weasley's boss. And I think I love how Hermione is one of the many people who has a crush on Lockhart. Because he's good looking and he claims to do all these heroic deeds, and it's like, girl, really? You can do better than that. But, of course, it's easier for me to say that because I know of course, I know that he's not legit because I've already read the book. But I do think, I wish they had that scene with Lockhart doing all the Valentine's, theme party, celebration. I don't know, I guess they couldn't really do that one either, but that one was cute, and with all the pinks and reds and all those colors and stuff, and then, the dwarves dressed like, Valentine's, Cupids, following them around, and then Harry gets cornered because Ginny... Oh, I actually found it. When I first tried to film this video, I was trying to find this, but I figured it would take too long. Of course, the video ended up being too long anyway. Here it is. This is the Valentine that Ginny gives him. His eyes are as green as a fresh pickled toad. His hair is as dark as a blackboard. I wish he was mine. He's really divine. The hero who conquered the Dark Lord. I think that's so cute. and funny. Although I feel so bad for Ginny because having this massive crush on her brother's best friend, and then of course I think Colin Creevey was the most annoying one. In the summary of this book, they say the unwanted advance of Ron's sister Ginny, but really, I think Harry doesn't. Maybe he doesn't like it or whatever, but I think he's more bothered by Colin Creevey, who stalks Harry. Although Colin's adorable too. He's a sweet kid. I like him too. And I feel bad for him and Harry also feels bad when he ends up being petrified. Because of course we find out he's a mudblood, just like Hermione. But this is so, and I definitely feel like the movie did a good job. I do believe the movies do a great job. It's just, I wish there were some things in the books that could have been included, but I understand that they couldn't. And again, I will say that the movies are good adaptations compared to some book adaptations. I also wish we could have had the whole Death Day party. I would have liked to see that in the movie. I thought the Death Day party was kind of cool. And also, I guess I figured it's not a big deal, but in the book, we find the reason why Filch accuses Harry is not because, Harry has to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, but, at one point, Harry comes in after a particularly muddy, wet Quidditch practice. He comes in and gets mud all over the floor, and it's, of course, and Filch catches him, and he's already cranky. He's got a cold, and he's been cleaning up messes all over the place because it's around the fall time, so it's cold season in the story, and so he's already annoyed and having to deal with, having to clean up all the messes because he's the caretaker of Hogwarts. So he's like the custodian for Hogwarts school. And he gets I feel bad since he is the only one. He's the only caretaker that's ever mentioned in the story. So I can't blame him for being cranky and, get really irritable. But Harry, so he's gonna give Harry detention, and then Harry, nearly having the snake wanting to help out Harry, creates a distraction by getting Peeves. Which that's another thing I wish they could include in the movie is Peeves, because Peeves is a fun character. So they create a distraction, and then Harry finds out that Argus Filch is a squib, which is the opposite of a mudblood, where all their family is magic, and they're the one person that's not. The squib is the one that's not magical, even though they're raised in a wizarding family. So he finds Argus Filch has this quick spell pamphlet, which is teaches those that don't know magic how to do it. So that kind of is the reason why he accuses Harry when they find Miss Norris scared stiff, frozen stiff on that wall. So I guess they figured it wasn't that big of a deal, but I feel like it explains it more in the book. But then I guess they assume everybody's read the book. But I think the problem is that I think there are some people that haven't read the book and they're going by the movies. But it doesn't. I feel like it doesn't make any sense. But this book is really great. I gave it 4 stars because I still liked it, but it wasn't. Again, I'll say it again. It's not my favorite of the series. My favorites being Prisoner of Azkaban, Goblet of Fire, and I think Half-Blood Prince is kind of my favorite. I mean, it's been so long since I read it, but watching the movie, there's I've come to find that I appreciate it more and understand the book more, and I think it will be on my favorites list if I reread it. When I reread it. But, there's so many cool things, and I know it was the second book, and I think that's partly why it's not a favorite, because, the second book slump. Second book sequels are not as good. They're a little rough, because it's just the author trying to, now they introduce the world, so now they have to find a way to get the world, slowly get the world to grow and expand and stuff, and it's very hard with the second book. There's a lot of pressure, because they're like, you have the first book, and the first book does so well, and then you have to do really well the second time. And if you do well the second time, or at least decently, then, that will give you hope that you can do just as good and better in the next, the third book, the fourth book, the fifth, however many books that will be in your series. But the second book wasn't bad for a second book. It was very fun and very interesting. And we are introduced to a lot of aspects that become important throughout the rest of the series. So that was my review of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And currently, I am not only reading Uprooted, which I finally got because it was at the library, luckily, and I got very excited. I gave an audible gasp when I saw it there. I was looking for a book, and I was having a hard time finding a book that I was into, because fantasy is my number one genre, and with our library, there's not a lot of fantasy in our library or in our bookstore, unless they are super mainstream popular books. You might be able to find Harry Potter or something, the children's section and the YA section is pretty good. It's small, but it's good, decent, and at least in the library anyway. I think it's bigger though than the YA section, the children's section of the actual bookshop. So I'm currently reading Prisoner of Azkaban, which is one of my favorites. Unfortunately, like I said, this one is coming out of its bindings, so I might get a paperback edition next time I go to BAM, which hopefully will come up soon, because my friend Terry is coming to visit, and we're gonna go to SuperCon next weekend, in Raleigh, and because both of us had birthdays in May. So we're just gonna get each other's birthday gifts when she comes. We're just gonna buy each other something, and we'll go at Books A Million. So while I'm there, I might also get myself a paperback edition of this book. I'm currently on Chapter 8, Flight of the Fat Lady, so I've done the whole Bogart chapter and the night bus. And Hermione gets Crookshanks, which I agree, that cat is really cute. I like Crookshanks. You know, and with his grumpy cat face, I think Crookshanks is actually really cute. I like Crookshanks, and he is very helpful in the books. He becomes quite helpful in the book. Um, so that's my Harry Potter reread update. It's going slow, unfortunately. I mean, well, not slow because I got through like the first two books in like two weeks. So, but I mean, now that the books are getting, the third book is a little bit longer than the second book, and then the fourth book is really long, and it just gets longer and longer, and you know, I mean, the books just get longer and longer, and will take me more than 2 weeks to get all of them done. So, but unfortunately, I will not be bringing that book because we're going out of town later towards the end of this week for the next few days, so I will not be bringing that book with me because of that very thing. So, anyway, again, happy 4th of July, and I hope you all have a great reading experience. Alright, okay, I'll need to work on that. That was bad. But I am getting better at this. Alright, bye.